My name is Rita Pierce. I will now be presenting my informative speech. My speech is on the conflict between Israel and Palestine. After hours of research into the so-called war, I realized just how complex it is. People that are choosing to support either Israel or Palestine must be aware of the long history of tension and fighting between these two cultures. There is no simple solution to this complex issue, and there is no single-sentence explanation. In this speech, I will be detailing how the war in Palestine started and how, after over 80 years of Israeli occupation in Palestine, I will be discussing why the war has not yet ended. The war in Palestine started in 1948. The plan to occupy Palestine did not start in 1948. In 1897, the first Zionist Congress convened in Switzerland. Zionism is defined as the goal to retake the land that Palestine currently sits on as a Jewish homeland. It correlates with religious prophecies in both the Torah and the Bible. The League of Nations gives Britain a mandate over Palestine in 1922. Palestine rioted over British rule in 1936. This was called the Great Palestine Revolt. The genocide of Jewish people in the Holocaust kills over 60 million Jewish people. World War II, which is when the Holocaust happened, ended in 1945, and by 1947, Britain had passed a resolution to have the two states, the states of Palestine and Israel, joined economically. In April of 1948, Zionists killed hundreds of Palestinians right outside Jerusalem. Great Britain ended its jurisdiction over the two states 1 month later. Israel declares independence on May 14th. On May 15th, over 700,000 Palestinians are forced to flee their homes. They are forced to flee their homes from Israeli forces. This is during the Arab-Israeli war. The war goes on for 10 months, and Israel claims over half of Palestine. This was stated by the world in October of 2023. The war in Palestine has not yet ended. It will not end until Israel claims all of Palestine. There is nothing stopping them from pursuing their mission. Israel joined the League of Nations in 1949, as said by the world in October of 2023. The United States has provided over $50 billion, that's about $150 per person in the United States, in funding to Israel since 1949. In 1978, the Secretary of State finds that Israel may have violated U.S. law by using weapons that were provided by the U.S., donated by the U.S. These weapons were restricted to purely self-defense. These weapons were being investigated because Israel used them for used them for invasion purposes. This was stated by Martha Wagner in May of 1990 in MIRP. Hamas attacked Israel, killing 1,200 people. They also took 240 Israeli hostages. Hamas attacked on October 7th of 2023. The fighting in Israel and Palestine has only increased since October 7th, 2023. The situation has only grown more tense as civilian death tolls in Palestine rise. This was stated by the Associated Press by Joseph Fetterman and Izam Adwin. Malnutrition and starvation have increased as attempts that countries give aid to Palestine are met by Israeli violence and objections. Hamas has demanded a ceasefire. As the New York Times stated in May of 2024, Israel has been asked by many countries for a ceasefire. The call for ceasefire is so great that South Africa has decided to press charges against Israel for committing genocide. Genocide is defined internationally by the International Committee as killing groups of people, deliberately ruining the quality of life of a certain group of people, or intentionally reducing birth rate of a group of people. South Africa has been a long-time supporter of Palestine. They see similarities between the South African apartheid and the situation in Palestine, as said by Rafi Berg of BBC News on January 30th, 2024. The war in Palestine started 80 years ago. Israel started to invade Palestine 80 years ago, but the war in Palestine is far from over. The invasion of Palestine was planned and started way before 1948. The war will continue until Israel has taken all of Palestine. I hope that my discussion has brought some previously unknown information to mind. And I hope that most of all, my speech has made you rethink what you previously thought you knew about Israel and Palestine. Thank you for your time. My name is Rita Pierce, and that was my informative speech on the conflict in Israel and Palestine.